You have this feeling like your life hasn't really started yet, like the version of your life that actually matters, the real one, is still somewhere ahead, just around the corner, just after this one thing changes, after I get this job, after I move to that city, after I find the right person, after things settle down, after I figure myself out. But things keep settling. Jobs keep coming and going. People come and stay or leave, and still, like, the feeling remains that this isn't quite it yet. Psychology has a name for this, a cause, and an ending that most people never see coming. Psychologists call it arrival's fallacy, a term coined by Harvard psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar. The belief that when you reach a specific goal or milestone, you will finally feel like your life has properly begun. The problem is, the arrival never delivers what the anticipation promised. You get the job. You feel relief for a week. Then the feeling returns. You move to the city. You feel excitement for a month. Then the feeling returns. The destination was never the problem. The feeling was never waiting for a destination. It was waiting for something else entirely. Something you have been avoiding looking at directly. A landmark study from the University of Illinois tracked lottery winners 1 year after winning. Their reported happiness levels had returned to almost exactly where they were before winning. The massive arrival delivered almost nothing lasting. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. The brain adjusts to new circumstances, good or bad, and returns to a baseline emotional state. Every arrival becomes normal, and normal never feels like the real life you were waiting for. But arrival's fallacy alone doesn't explain the depth of this feeling, the sense that you are living a preliminary version of your life, that the real version is somewhere else, that you are somehow not quite in your own story yet. That feeling has deeper roots. It usually connects to one of three things: a life that was designed by someone else's expectations, a version of yourself that was never fully allowed to develop, or a fear so old and so buried that moving forward means confronting it, and staying in the waiting feels safer. The first root. Many people are living a life that was built from other people's expectations, parents, culture, society, and somewhere underneath it, they know it. They feel it. The life fits technically. It just doesn't feel like theirs. Research on self-determination theory, developed by psychologists DC and Ryan, found that when people pursue goals imposed by others rather than driven by internal values, they consistently report lower life satisfaction regardless of whether they achieve those goals. The real life they are waiting for is the one where they are allowed to want what they actually want. But admitting that means dismantling everything already built. And most people would rather keep waiting than face that demolition. The second root. Psychologist James Hollis calls it the unlived life, the version of yourself that never got to develop because of fear, circumstance, or the path you took instead. The artist who became an accountant, the person who wanted to leave but stayed, the version of you that had a different answer to the question, who do you want to be, before the world told you to be more realistic. That unlived version doesn't disappear. It sits underneath the daily routine and creates a persistent sense that the life being lived is a compromise, not a destination. A compromise, and you feel it every single day without knowing exactly what to call it. The third root, and the darkest one. Some people are not waiting for their life to begin. They are hiding from it. And the waiting is the hiding. The real life they are waiting for would require them to try, to fail, to be seen failing, to want something publicly and possibly not get it. The waiting protects them from all of that. In the waiting, they have not failed. They have simply not started yet. Research on fear of failure from psychologist Andrew Elliott found that people with high fear of failure spend more time in preparation and planning than in action, and report significantly lower life satisfaction, despite feeling perpetually busy. They are always getting ready. They never begin. The waiting is comfortable because it contains infinite possibility. In the waiting, you could still become anything. The moment you begin, some doors close, and closing doors is terrifying to people who spent their whole life believing the right door was still out there. Here is what the waiting actually costs, and nobody talks about this part honestly enough. Every year spent waiting for your real life is a year of your actual life. The waiting is not a pause before life. It is life. And it is running whether you are in it or not. Bronnie Ware was a palliative care nurse who spent years caring for people in the final weeks of their lives. She documented the most common regrets of the dying. The number one regret: I wish I had lived a life true to myself, and not the life others expected of me. Not, I wish I had worked more. Not, I wish I had been more careful. The number one regret was living someone else's version of their life instead of their own. The waiting produced exactly the outcome they feared most. The most damaging lie the waiting tells you: that the real version of your life is more coherent than this one, more purposeful, more alive. That somewhere ahead things click into place and the fog lifts and you finally feel like you're exactly where you are supposed to be. That version of your life does not exist. There is no version of you that has everything figured out and feels permanently arrived. That person is a fiction your waiting invented to justify itself. The fog does not lift when you arrive somewhere. It lifts when you decide to be where you are. The question is not, when does my real life begin? The question is, what am I waiting for permission to do? Who am I waiting for permission from? And why do I still believe that permission is coming from somewhere outside myself? Research on psychological ownership, the sense that your life genuinely belongs to you, shows that people who score high on this measure report dramatically higher well-being, purpose, and engagement regardless of their external circumstances. The feeling of ownership is the thing, not the circumstances. The person who feels like they are living their real life is not necessarily living a bigger or better life than you. They just stopped treating their current life as a rehearsal. They stepped into it, claimed it, stopped waiting for conditions to be right. The conditions will never be right. The timing will never be perfect. The fear will never disappear before you begin. The readiness you are waiting for is a feeling that only comes after you start. Never before. You have been waiting for something that only existence creates. Every day you treat your current life as a waiting room is a day you hand over to the future. A future that will also feel like a waiting room. If you haven't changed the thing that is actually creating the feeling is not a signal that your real life is ahead. It is a signal that something in your current life needs to be confronted, a choice that has not been made, a truth that has not been spoken, a direction that has not been taken. The feeling is not pointing forward, it is pointing inward. Your real life is not coming. It is already here. It has been here the whole time, running without your full presence, moving without your full participation, happening whether you claim it or not. The waiting ends the moment you decide this is it. Not when circumstances improve, not when fear disappears, not when someone gives you permission. The moment you decide this imperfect, unfinished, still figuring it out life is the one, and you are in it. Now, you were never in the waiting room. You were always in the room. You just kept looking for the door to the real one. There is no other room. There never was.